Hey, this is Seth with In Demand Career. I show people how to get life-changing jobs in digital marketing with no previous experience or education. And that includes my very special guest today, Lydia, who is a mom of two small children and got divorced. So she was a single stay-at-home mom who had lost her source of income. She took my course, hustled very hard, and now she is a work-at-home mom making $60,000 a year working remotely. She's able to support her family, and she's very happy in her new profession. I think this will be a very inspiring story for moms out there, single moms out there. I think you're really going to enjoy it. I'm very excited to share her story with you. Thanks for being here, Lydia.
Hey, it's nice to be here and nice to finally meet you. You're awesome.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure to talk to you. So why don't you tell people watching just a little bit about your current job and what you're doing right now?
So I'm currently a SEO specialist, and I do a few things. I'll do keyword research, I help with strategy, content briefs, different things like that. And on the side, I help small businesses with their local SEO, as well as copywriting and social media tactics.
That's awesome. So you mean you have a salary job and you also have some freelance clients on top of that?
Yes, sir. Thanks to you.
That's awesome. And what are you making at this job? And, and is it remote?
So I make 60K and yes, it's fully remote with PTO benefits, all the bells and whistles.
That's fantastic. And is that a good enough salary for you to support yourself and your family where you're currently living?
Yes, it actually is. And the beauty of that is this is just the beginning. And I know there's like going to be more salary growth. And that makes me just feel so secured and happy.
That's fantastic. I'm really happy for you. And you said you live in Virginia, so cost of living
Mhm.
isn't too bad over there, is it?
Well, I live near the DC side of Virginia.
Oh,
DC,
okay.
Maryland's called the DMV. So it is a little bit more pricey, but that's what makes the beauty of the salary I have, the career field that I have, even more important because with this type of career, I can go from middle class to, more higher middle class and be able to deal with the cost of living without it being a burden.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yes, as Lydia did mention, this is your first job. And actually for your first job to be making 60K is really, really incredible. What I say in my presentation is that you definitely, like, no questions asked, will be making 60K within 1 year. But to start at 60K is really fantastic. And then I have students usually getting up, over 70 to 80K within a year or two. And what's it like? I want to ask you, of course, how you got here, but because you are a mother and you have two, small children, what's it like working from home with your kids? Does this allow you the flexibility to kind of obviously, raise your kids yourself? Do you have some help? Like, how is it different from, working in an office, let's say?
Well, I do have a little bit of help. I have family nearby if I really need it. But to be able to work at home helps me deal with school schedules. And that's the biggest thing. You never know when there's a half day, a holiday, off day, someone's sick, or you get called, from the school for other reasons. And at a drop of a pencil, you have to run and get your child, or you have to keep them home. Like actually today, my daughter don't feel good. She's home. My son went to school. I don't know what I would have to do if I was in an office job. Both of my parents still work, so I would be SOL. Um, but I'm not. So this is like the blessing and the beauty of being fully remote and dealing with a company that understands the life of a parent. And as long as if you're doing what you have to do and you're showing up, you're, a team player, they got your back too. And that's why it's really important to choose the right company.
Yeah, one of the best things about digital marketing, especially if you're new to the idea of digital marketing, and hopefully there's some moms watching you may not have heard about, is that digital marketing has one of the best work-life balances of any industry. And also the culture tends to be, it's a lot more respectful of you as an adult, and a lot of jobs, I always say jobs are like, it's like school for adults. Like, you have to ask permission, maybe sometimes go to the bathroom, or if you need to go, take your kid to the doctor or something like that. And what you're describing, it sounds to me like, is like they're basically like, take care of your life and take care of what you need to take care of. Just make sure you get your job work done, right?
Yes, like, do what you got to do at work, and have that communication. Let us know if something happened, if you need some flexibility, and they have your back because you have their back. Like y'all both helping each other. Y'all both are assets. They need you, you need them kind of situation.
That's a really good attitude. And that's actually a good segue into, how did you get here? Because you leveled up your skill set and you leveled up your value, which has allowed you to make this salary. And you did that with no previous experience. You didn't have a background like, in marketing or anything like that. So what was going on in your life when you first found my course and heard about digital marketing? And how did
Well,
you,
go ahead.
and just how did you end up here? Yeah.
Okay. So around that time, I was still married, and I was just a complete stay-at-home mom. The only thing I was really doing was freelance modeling, because that's the other thing I do, modeling and acting. But I knew that with personal things were going a little left, and I was going to need to develop some skill sets for whether I stayed married and be able to help out more, or if it didn't work out, I could be sustained, and have that security for me and my children. So I started looking up different ways to make money online as well as different skill sets. And that's how I came across your channel. And I'm the type of person who loves learning. I'm very entrepreneurial. So I was just all in from the jump. I really wasn't skeptical. I knew that skills pay the bills, basically.
Absolutely. And I'm curious, you did a lot of research. Why did you end up picking like digital marketing, PPC, SEO over some of the other stuff you might have encountered? What like drew you to this particular skill set?
Well, I knew I didn't want to do coding because before I ran into your channel, there was a few talking about like learning code, but I just could not imagine myself staring at a black screen trying to correct code for 5 to 8 hours a day. It just seemed very daunting to me and how my brain works. So when I learned more about marketing and it's how more about people and the psychology of people, that piqued my interest more. So that's why I chose it. And at the same time, like I said, I was already entrepreneurial. I understood some basics of marketing. I ran a blog when I was a little younger, a little bit of a YouTube channel. So I knew some basics already. So I was a little familiar. And you brought me to like more the professional side of things and realizing how big this opportunity actually was.
Yeah. Yeah. And then again, guys, if you haven't seen my webinar yet, I said digital marketing is a $400 billion industry. It's huge. There's so many jobs. And again, the colleges are still teaching very outdated concepts. So there's a real lack of skilled workers, which is why it's possible for someone like Lydia and all my other students to get these great entry-level jobs, because there's a real lack of talent. And what you spoke to, I think you said it really well, because like, everybody knows tech is a great field to be in, but things like coding can be very daunting, myself included. Like I think I learned computer coding when I was 14, when I was like in 8th grade, long time ago. And it was like learning Pascal programming is the name of the language before C++. And I remember it was cool for like the first week. And then I couldn't, like, I was like, this is just way over my head. And I'm more of I'm analytical person, but I'm also a creative person. And if you look at my other interviews, you'll see I've had like actors, artists, engineers, and then people who worked in restaurants, people who worked in factories. You don't have to be the like engineer, math whiz to be a really good digital marketer. You do need to have an analytical and strategic, way of thinking, but you also said there's psychology to it. There's creativity, there's research, there's a lot of other components to it. So I'm glad you articulated that, because that's a question I get as well. It's like, what's the difference between this and coding? And it's like coding is definitely just left brain, very left brain, very staring at the computer all day. And your job, we'll talk more about your job in a little bit. So you got the course, and this was like 28, this was a while ago, right? Like you started out years ago. And because of this personal things that you were experiencing, it took you a little bit longer than some other people. But what was your progression, and how did you kind of go through the course and ultimately end up getting this job?
So after the few years of freelancing, and then boom, the pandemic 2020, I realized I had to really make a drastic change because I was living with my family, and I knew that that wasn't going to be something sustainable long term. But I also knew I needed to increase my income rapidly. So I decided to humble myself and go back. Like, even if I already knew most of the stuff, because I already dabbled in Facebook ads, Google ads, SEO, all of that, but there was something I was missing, obviously, because I was not succeeding. So sometimes you have to humble yourself and realize it's okay to fail. It's okay to mess up. The goal is to get back up and do it again. And that's sometimes very hard for like the ego, but you have to do it again because you know it works. You have enough testimonies. You see enough people winning in the industry. So you know it's possible for you. You just got to deal with that emotional aspect of yourself and get back up. So after I got back into your course, I got my notebook again, went through the whole entire thing again to see what I was missing. And I realized what I did wrong. And that was I did not document my journey. I did not document how I was helping local businesses. I did not document my strategy or anything like that. So I had nothing to attach to my resume. And the other thing was I wasn't using a Google Doc resume. I was using a Canva resume. And then I was writing into that. And I learned that you have to be careful with that because it's like a machine that scans the resume for keywords. And if you're not if if it's hard to read the graphic of Canva, then you're not going to be picked up by their system. So you're better off having a resume in a Google Doc and then having the proper keywords in your resume in order to be picked up by their system. So
Right.
I was learning go ahead. You was about
I
to
just
go.
wanted to kind of clarify for people. I think what you just so I make sure I understand, it sounds like you took my course in the very early days, like back in 2018.
Mhm.
You only took it for a little bit, and you didn't implement everything I tell, is what you're saying.
No,
So you didn't
I was
follow.
hard headed.
And you've heard if you've watched a few of these interviews, guys, you see this is essentially the difference between people who get the jobs and don't. It's just like I've created this. It's just the system works, but you have to follow all the steps. And what a lot of folks do, and it's totally normal. I probably would have done the same thing if I was taking my course. I was a few years ago. Is that if you don't do everything in there and kind of do things your own way, you're not going to get the same results. And so whether it's doing the projects that I include in the course, and I've updated the course a lot even since then, since 2018. But especially the resume. I mean, I have literally have a template in there that's like, and I see people. It's really funny because I'm just like, I literally am giving you this like invaluable template, and it's right there. But people will take it and they'll like put their own little. It's like someone gives you this, I don't know, like a beautiful cake, and then someone's pouring their like, I don't know, chocolate syrup on it. It's like they're gonna like, I'm
Right.
gonna change this, and then I'm gonna add this graphic and do this, and I'm like, no, dude, it's like this for a reason. And generally speaking, I mean, the people ask me for resume advice, and I'm like, take my course, I'll give you the specifics. But generally, it's about your skill set, and it's people reviewing resumes. By the way, if you're watching this, they do not want a fancy resume because you have to put yourself in their position. And I've been in this position where I'm looking at 80 to 100 resumes. You're like exhausted from looking at resumes, so you're not looking for something cute. You're just like, I need to hire
No.
this person for this job. And then all you're looking for is, can they do the job? And when you see they can do the job, that's what you're looking for. You don't care if it's this font, that font, if it's got a picture, the hobbies. Some people put the hobbies like, dude, I'm hiring you to do my marketing or to code, do coding. I don't care that you play Frisbee or that you like jazz or something. Like maybe we will get into that in the interview, but it shouldn't be at the top
Right.
of the resume. But anyway, so what you did is you took the course, you didn't fully follow the instructions, you had kind of mixed results. Sounds like you had a couple of small freelance clients, but nothing really substantial. And then you came back. And when did you come back? When did you re-register for the course?
I re-registered in, let me see, 2021.
Okay.
Early 2021, like January, February 2021.
So you returned to the course with renewed focus and determination. And so how did that go from the time you returned to the course to when you actually got your job offers and the job that you have now?
So I noticed a few changes. You definitely like upgraded the course and gave new updated information, which I was still able to catch on. And I realized the difference between before and now was having to have the proper documents, i.e. the projects, the homework, in place so I can show the interviewer that I actually know what I'm talking about and having very specific resumes, which you did talk about and I was very hard-headed about. So like if you want to do SEO, you have an SEO resume. If you want to do PPC, you have a PPC resume. Don't try to blend them all together.
Right. Absolutely. Did you email me about this? I'm trying to remember.
I definitely did because I was indecisive of
Yeah.
where to focus on. But ultimately, I chose SEO because I had a lot of natural knowledge about it because of previous blogs and different things like that. I had Amazon merch at one point. So I was very familiar with SEO a little bit more. And to be honest, I just didn't like balancing budgets and like the bidding and things like that with ads. So I kind of went like where I was more intuitively
Yeah.
strengthened at.
And that happens, guys. I tell you, people ask me because the two main skill sets I'm going to be teaching. And again, if you watch my webinar, you'll learn more about this. One is called paid search or PPC. That is the paid ads that you see if you do a Google search on the side of the search results. That's $1 billion industry. And that's where a lot of my students get jobs. The other big skill set is SEO or search engine optimization. And it's helping companies make their websites rank higher in the Google search results. And that is a more there's a lot, there's everything from content and psychology to building links to analyzing pages. There's a lot of components to SEO, and that's where Lydia works. So once you decided you wanted to do SEO and that was your thing, what was it like when you finally started submitting your resumes that you'd put together, followed the instructions, and what was it like when you started getting interviews? What was that like for you?
That was a whole different kind of hurdle because there's an art to interviewing. And I didn't understand that art. You have to find a balance of talking about your skill sets, having confidence, also having like friendly conversational banter. You don't want it to feel like an interview. You want it to feel like a friendly conversation because that balances the power dynamic. You never want to come off desperate. And the other thing is seeing if you're a culture fit. See, they have to like you and they have to see that you're willing to do the job and they have to see that you have at least a basic skill set. It's the balance of those three.
Yeah.
So learning that balance, once I found my footing, that's how I was able to get 3 job offers.
That's so great. And so tell us, what was it like to get those job offers? And were they all at once, or was it like one, did you have to choose between 3 different jobs at the same time?
About around the same time, like within like a 2-week time period, one says yes, and then you get to like that third interview and that one says yes, and then you might have a first interview, but they're like, we're sold. So that's kind of what happened. And I was like, okay, well, which one makes me feel the most like comfortable and has the best salary? Because I have to think about salary. I have children. So I have to add money to the equation. At the same time, which one is not going to micromanage me? Which one's going to treat me like a human?
So you what I want to know about now is that, you came back to the course, you did all this work, you got more and more confident, and then you got 3 job offers within a 2-week period. Now, this is coming from previously having 0 experience in digital marketing. You didn't have a degree in marketing or anything. You're a single mom. What was it like to get those job offers? How did that feel?
I felt empowered, Seth, very empowered. Like I was finally in control of my life. And it validated the point that if you have the right skill sets, you are your own asset.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, and what was it like? What was it like, weighing these 3 offers? This is amazing things. Most people just want to get one job offer. Were you like, were you having a hard time making up your mind? Were they both all 3 pretty good offers, but one was just better than the other? Like, what were you looking for?
It was very hard to make that decision because, when everyone's like, oh, I want you, you're going to be great on this team. It's a little stressful. It's a positive stress, but it's stressful because you want to make the right decision long term. It's like choosing the right friend. But ultimately, I went with the company that I felt like had the right culture fit for me because that's very important. You want the right culture fit. And who do you vibe with the most? And I went with the company that I vibe with the most.
That's great. And also they had a really good salary. Did they have the highest salary of the 3?
Yes, they definitely did. And
Well, that
I
helped.
think part of that is because 3 offers. Three was coming after me. So it's like, choose me. Well, I have to talk with this one.
Did
Oh,
you
what about this
did you
instead?
leverage the offers? That's what I would have told you to do. Is you did. You told me you had other offers. That's great, and that's the
I
great thing,
did.
guys. This will happen to you in this industry. Again, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of hard work. But once you have these skills, this is what happened to me. Remember, I went from being a broke art school grad with no job prospects to having the same thing. Recruiters coming after me. and Lydia, having recruiters coming after her or having 3 job offers. And you don't have to be a negotiator. You don't have to be like clever. It's simple. You just literally are like, be honest. Like, hey, listen, I have 2 other companies that want me. They're all offering me, I don't know, maybe they were offering you like 45 or 50. And then the third company is going to offer you more money. And it's a negotiation tactic, but it doesn't feel like it. You're just being honest. You're like, I really need,
Exactly.
and it is a great feeling. It's a great feeling to be wanted like that, and to feel valued. And so yeah, we could talk more about that, but what was it like when you got hired? What was the experience like, when you actually accepted the job offer? How did that feel?
So after I accepted the job offer, I was like, finally, like now I will have more stability and flexibility to really have the life that I desire for me and my family. And the first few months was training. So even though you teach a great deal, like you're pretty much ready. The company still will train you like you kind of don't know much at all. Like they just have to, that's protocol. So it really increases your confidence because after 3 months, now you have even more information and you have more access to different tools and stuff like that. So as long as you follow the directions of the course, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's it been like, how long have you been there now? And what's it like there working there? And what you said you like the culture, like, do you have, are you on calls most of the day? Do you have a supervisor you can ask questions to? Like, what's that like?
I have a manager and someone a little bit above me that I can ask questions. There is not meetings every day, maybe like a few times a week. Um, it's just more so focused on certain assignments a day. I've been there for
Like,
about 8 months.
do you use like Slack or something to talk to, like text each other during the day?
Yes, we use Slack and Zoom for
Okay.
most of the time when it comes to like client calls and different things like that. And at first I wasn't on the client calls, but as times went on, then I was able to get on clients calls to get more insight on what the client needs and stuff like that, different strategy calls. And I've been there for 8 months and it's been really, really good. Even in this previous summer, I got flew out to headquarters. I didn't have to pay for anything and it was just their anniversary and it was such a fun time and it was just mind-blowing, like wow, my life really changed. Really, really changed. My parents are still kind of shocked because they're from a different world and they would hear me talk about marketing, but I didn't think they really believed. So when they started seeing all these results, they were like, and then when I moved into my own place, they were just like, oh my gosh, you have something here. Start telling the other family members what you do. And like, I've been telling y'all what I do. Y'all
Uh,
didn't believe me.
that's so great. I meant to ask you before about how your family reacted. So that's really wonderful. And where was the headquarters of this company? Where did they fly you to?
Indiana,
Okay. So beautiful Indiana, but still,
beautiful Indiana.
but it sounds like, I mean, you met probably tons of cool people and like, those types of, that corporate or that, that environment is really must have charged you up and made you feel really good.
It
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. That's so cool. Um, that's fantastic. And 8 months in, so I mean, have you been getting hit up by other recruiters? Are you going to stay at this position or have you thought about moving on?
So I do get hit up from different recruiters. Um, I decided to stick by this company at least for a little bit longer, because I feel like I can still learn more and I can still grow my confidence and my skill sets where I'm at. But it is very assuring that recruiters still come by and say, hey, I think you'll be a good fit, especially on your LinkedIn. If you have the LinkedIn optimized, which you talk about in the course, like again, like that's kind of like your own job security. You become your own job security. So if things don't work out at a place, whether you leave, you get fired, or whatever the situation is, you have the skill sets. You can go somewhere else. You're not stuck. You can go somewhere else and you only continue to grow and learn. So you only become a bigger asset as times go on.
Absolutely. I call it skill security. And it's
Yes.
true. It's true because, like I said, when I'm myself, I came out of, I graduated college. I thought I was a big deal, and I realized I had no skills. I had nothing. I was desperate. I worked in, I delivered pizzas. I waited tables, and you feel like very helpless because you can't command anything. You're just at the whim of whatever job you think you can get. And then when I got the digital skills, it's like you're saying, it's like you really control where you want to go. And if you decided right now you wanted, this company wasn't working for you, you can just quit. And you don't even have to worry about it, what everyone's saying about the economy, because the digital marketing job market is still very robust, especially with the holidays coming up. People are still spending money on ads. And you you get a lot more control. And, you really become, like I said, you're like a free agent in sports. You really get to decide. And you got recruiters coming after you who would like to hire you. And I'm sure that tons of them would like to hire you. These companies are getting very smart now, I think, because they're paying more for entry-level jobs. Like you had no previous job, right? Like you had freelance, but you never had a digital marketing job. First job, they pay you okay. And that's smart on their part, because like what I tell people in the course is, like, if they're going to hire you for $40,000 a year, that's fine. That's a great entry-level salary. But I tell people, work there for 6 months, then move, level up to $60K. So if you're already at $60K, that means you're going to stay there a little bit longer. And it means they respect you and respect your value. And hopefully will give you an appropriate raise, like after you've been there for a year. And once you've been there for about more than a year, a year and a half too, that's when, if you're not getting up to 70 and 80, that's when you can start looking for other opportunities. But I was also going to tell you, this is a little bit off topic, but for anyone watching, this is kind of interesting. You live in Virginia, and did you know there are like 3 or 4 states in the US that will pay you money to move there if you're a remote worker?
Yes, I do know about that. And if I'm around here because of my family, and I have young kids, and I'm like close to my parents, but I do often think about that, especially when they get older. Like I said, the possibilities are endless, especially the more experience you have. You start having like senior positions and whatnot. Like if you want to, you can go to another part of the world if you want to. Or you could do both, freelance, have your own business, and work at a company. Like you decide your future. You
Absolutely.
decide. And that's why you're amazing, because you help people change their mindset. And if they're willing to put in the work, and then they're willing to, in a sense, fall on their face a little bit, like riding a bike. It's okay. You're not going to get the first or second time. That is okay. This has the audacity to get back up, and you'll start to see results, and you'll start to shock yourself at the amazing opportunities that lies before you.
It's very well said.
Sorry.
That's very well said. And yeah, you're right. You can work remotely. You could live in another country. The states, like I thought of you just because I know West Virginia has that program. And just to clarify, it's like Tulsa, Oklahoma, West Virginia, and somewhere in Alabama. It's like, if you're a salaried remote worker making more than 50K, these states, they're not populated states. So they're trying to build up. They're trying to build up a city like in Austin, Texas, or Denver, Colorado, or Colorado Springs. They're trying to bring people with good incomes and tech people into their states. So they're paying them literally $10,000 a year. If you move to these places, I have a couple of students who are younger who are like, yeah, I'll move to one of these states for a year for $10,000. Why not? It's another benefit that I'm starting to talk about that I think is really incredible. Just be working remote, making a great salary, loving what you do, being able to spend time with your kids and be available for them. It's all fantastic. I'm very excited to see where you go in the future. I was going to say, normally when I end these interviews, I ask if you have advice for anyone watching the interview. I would say to you specifically, because you are a single mom, and I know you have a soft spot in your heart for other single moms. Do you have anything you want to say to any moms who are watching and considering the course or the skill set?
Do it. Whether you're a single mom, you married, you are a stay-at-home mom, you want to stay at home, you want to be more present with your kids, or maybe you want to just work, but you want to work from home while your kids are at school. It doesn't matter. Just do it, because it's going to benefit your life. It's going to benefit your children's life. It will change your life. You'll feel more empowered, and you'll be able to invest in the things that you really want to do. Like, I like to model and act. I'm very entrepreneurial. And because I have this opportunity, I'm able to do that more without having to sacrifice my dreams. Like, I don't have to sacrifice my dreams anymore.
Very well said. Very well said. And that is another thing that we've interviewed people who are artists or actors or, have other things, the work-life balance is essentially the thing. It's a really great feeling. And just, I think even working from home in general, you don't have to commute. I remember when I lived in LA, I spent 2.5 hours a day in the car commuting, and having flexibility in your job gives you the opportunity. Probably if you need to go to an audition or you have a job pop up, you can go do that. And one of the things I say, because I'm here in Asia, and there's a lot of Europeans here, and we talk about this because in Europe, it's government subsidized, but everybody gets 6 weeks of holiday. And in the States, that isn't the culture. So I think it's cool in digital marketing, not only to have a flexible, you're still working very hard, but you have the ability to it's not like you're in an office with someone staring at you, making sure you're working 8 hours a day. You have this flexibility. And I was going to ask, do you have paid time off with your job?
Yes, I was actually going to mention that. I do have PTO and holidays, which has been really fun. This previous summer, they had like half off Fridays. So we will be done like at 12:30. And then it's like, go ahead. Like, we want you to use this time for your family, your friends, you time. They was really big on mental health and self-care. And that's the biggest thing when it comes to a lot of these agencies, whether you're fully remote or you work hybrid, like, they really want you to be good in all areas of your life, because you're going to be more productive for them, one. And it'll become a more of a give and take relationship versus you feeling like you're being a working dog, or you feel like you need them. Like, it becomes less desperate and more healthy and respectable.
Absolutely. And how much PTO do you get? Or is it just kind of like, is it like flexible?
20. I got 20 plus holidays. And
Really?
that was another reason why I went with this company, because the other one that hired me like on the spot was like 15, and it was like 50K and like 15 PTO plus holidays. So
I gotta
was
tell you
like,
guys, I will
no.
say this. I will say this. Even so, I haven't worked, I've been an entrepreneur for the last 6 years or so. And I worked, in agencies, I worked in-house, and things have changed and gotten even better. Because when I had my first in-house job where I was making 6 figures, I got no time off. I actually didn't even have a single vacation day. I had to accrue it. And at the first agency I worked at in 2011, it was also like, it was, it varies from agency to agency, but now the culture, it's become such a huge industry, and there's such a need to attract good talent. And that's why they're doing this stuff. It's just like, anyone who wants to attract someone with a high skill set, you want to make it attractive, because that, they know you're getting recruiters hitting you up. So they want to make you happy. And this mental health thing, I think, is really great too, because it's kind of like the Google, you've heard about Google Campus, and there's like, ping pong tables and all that. And they don't do that just because they want to be cool. They know that when people are more relaxed and actually have a chance to play, or if you get to take PTO, you're going to be a happier and better productive person, which is what they want. They want you to make their clients money. So it's smart. It's actually much smarter than trying to just drive people work into the ground. But man, 20 days, that's incredible. You're approaching, that's almost like European level vacation, and you're making much more money than you'd make, because yeah, that's fantastic. Wow, 20 days. I'm kind of shocked by that. I think it's so awesome. I think maybe I've had other people who've had that much, but I just always kind of blows my mind. That's really amazing. I mean, you could take a full on, do they have any limits? Like, could you take all 20 days at once, or do you have to can you only take like 3 at a time, or?
You can't do that, only because it is a smaller agency. So you do gotta like strategize how you're gonna do your PTO. But again, the company is so amazing that you don't mind. It's one of those environments where you want to be there for your coworkers. Like, you
Right.
want to be there. You don't want it to fall all on their shoulders, because they just treat you so good, like a relationship. They just treat you so good.
That's great.
But what I will say is, a lot of the everyday person, They don't know about digital marketing still, despite as much social media that's out there now compared to 10 years ago. People still don't know that this is a thing. Like they know traditional marketing. If they go to college, they can do marketing, but they know more about code than they do this middleman. So it's either like, oh, do customer service and get a work from home job that way, or go into tech and learn UX and code and all of that. They don't know that digital marketing is available. And you don't need to take years like me, because I was hard-headed. You don't have to take years in order to get into it. And there's always jobs. Like there's always more and more added jobs. So no matter how popular it gets, there's always going to be opportunities, because there's too many people who don't have this skill. They just don't. They don't have it.
Yeah, well said. And that, what you're speaking to is that, a lot of people know about coding. A lot of people know about customer service. Very few people. It's true. I call it the most in-demand career nobody knows about. It's very strange. And it's funny to me is that, that's why I do these interviews. And if you're watching this, you're just to know that these jobs exist is a privilege in a way, because you're really in the very small percentage. I read CNBC a lot, and they always have articles like, the top most in-demand skills, or even LinkedIn does that. And they'll be like, oh, these are the top work at home jobs. And they almost never mention PPC or SEO. It's always some weird, like not good jobs. Like you should be I don't know, a flight attendant or something. I mean, I'm always scratching my head about it. But that's again why there are 200,000 open jobs, and why it is possible to get hired with very minimal experience. So I say to the colleges who are just doing a terrible job of educating young people, keep it up, because those marketing curriculums are so outdated. They're teaching people stuff from the 1980s, 1990s. I literally had a friend who was going to go get an MBA, and they were using these businesses as their like case studies, that businesses that had gone bankrupt, like Blockbuster Video and Kodak, as their like business model. So the more that the colleges are teaching terrible things, that means that the workforce is now, there's 2 million more marketing majors flooding the workforce, but they don't have any skills. And then those marketing majors are applying to these jobs, and the people hiring are going like, oh my God, please send me somebody like Lydia. Who did you go to college? We didn't even talk about that.
I went to community college, but I did not finish because I got married early and had 2 children early.
There you go.
No. And you know what? A lot of these jobs, they'll say like have a degree and all of that, but I think that's just for a formality, because they're not getting what they need out of the situation. So you're better off having that optimized resume, optimized LinkedIn, one of your projects, and you're in there.
Yeah.
You're in there. And then it becomes, are you a culture fit? Do I like you? Do you like me? And that's how you move forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, guys. The degree thing, especially if you're in a similar situation, if you don't have a degree, and I've done whole other videos about this, guys. It is a completely irrelevant in this industry. If you look at all my testimonials, you'll see some people do have a college degree, half don't. The ones who do have a degree, nobody asked about it. Nobody cared that they majored in biology or whatnot. And even the marketing students, again, they come out, they can't get a digital marketing job because they're not taught these skills in college. It's a very outdated practice, and it's something I do try to preach and let people understand, is that the degree requirement is something that became a big deal like 20 years ago. And it's just a habit. It's an outdated habit. And some of these human resources people literally like, why would they? I'm sure this job that you got, they said degree required. I'm sure it said that, or I'm confident.
Yeah, I think it did or at least on the job board, it did.
Yeah.
And then it might have said like 2 to 3 years experience, something like that. But
also,
like what he says, apply anyway.
Yeah. And a lot of these job postings will say, I just interviewed somebody today, Aaron, who the job he got, his first job said 5 years experience required. He had 6 months. So anyway, if you guys, if you're watching, you don't quite know what we're talking about, that's why I put the link to my webinar below this video, to where I explain in more detail, like what these skill sets are, what the jobs are, how I've been helping people get these jobs, since 2016. I've helped thousands of people like Lydia start their career with no previous experience or education. And yeah, there's more information there. Lydia, thanks so much for sharing your story. Can people reach out to you on LinkedIn if they have any questions?
Yes, all they have to do is type in Lydia Charisse, or on Instagram, I am Lydia Charisse. Oh, and one more thing for the moms. If you don't want a full-time job, there are part-time jobs and contract jobs that are remote. So when I say the flexibility is there for your situation, it's there. Just do the course. Do the course, apply heavy because it's a numbers game, and just have a willing mindset and be your personality. Be confident. You got this. Get back up again. You got this.
Awesome, Lydia. I appreciate that, and I know the people watching appreciate it. Thanks so much for sharing yourself with everybody, sharing your story, and we'll stay in touch, and we will talk soon.
Hey, thank you again. You're awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Lydia. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.